Hello and welcome to episode number 96 of the NerdProQuo podcast. Just a quick pause before we get started. As always, Union Square Slam, that is Tuesday at 7 p.m. Bureau of General Services Queer Division, the LGBT Community Center. That is 7 p.m. $5 cover, 6 p.m. free workshop there. It is all ages. Also, Friday night, you got the Living Room Comedy Show at the Postmark Cafe. That is 8 p.m. That is free. That is 6th Street between 4th and 5th Avenue in Park Slope, Brooklyn. The 100th episode is growing ever closer. There will be a location that I will be releasing and promoting very, very soon, probably next week's podcast. And then there might be a week or two right before the 100th episode at some point where there's going to be a missed week, and then right into the live show, and then the double episode that is going to be the 100th episode. Still working on that. More details on that to come. Also, if any of you are subscribers to the YouTube channel or you get this through YouTube, the older episodes are going to be going up this week. They might be going up a little bit out of order. So, yes, all of the opinions on things, let us know. This is episode number 96. It is our Captain America Civil War review with Yves and Rich. So, like I said, as always, if you disagree with anything that we have said in this podcast, let us know in the comments. Hit subscribe. Like I said, I do read all of them. I don't always have time to respond, but I do read all of them, especially respond to, if you want our list. Let us know what your lists are of your favorite MCU movies now that the Captain America Civil War has come out. So enjoy this episode number 96 of the NerdProQuo podcast. Okay. Hooray.
We begin with having just watching Deadpool. We're looking at Marina Baccarin. Oh, she's gorgeous. And I'm also looking at this gorgeous man. Oh.
Nathan Fillion? One of our
No, it's Captain Hal.
Mal. Mal? It could have been Captain Hal.
You mean the guy on Castle?
No.
Which reason?
The guy who is carrying Castle. Sir.
You mean
He
the guy
is
when I see his face on that
Castle.
show, I flip the channel?
You watch it for him, man.
It's the
only good thing about that show.
Okay, I will say, yeah, I've said this on numerous occasions, is that anytime he is not on screen, which, by the way, it just ended.
Really?
Yeah.
He ended or canceled?
Well, no, it's been on a while.
How
so
many
it's
seasons?
a lot.
How do those
It's like
shows
7. I
survive?
have no. You know what it is? I think.
Optimal time slot, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think it's after a really. I don't know what show it's after, but it's like after a really popular show, and
People stick around to watch it.
there's something that I've said that, like, anytime he's not on screen, you realize how crappy that show is. But there's something, because there's a lot of people I know, or like that I'm aware of, who watch that show. It's weirdly popular, and it's almost 100% him. The reason why people watch that show is because of him. Like, it's not that his co-star is okay, the woman in it, but that show is like all him. But that's not why we are doing this. We
were sidetracked by beautiful people. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Marco.
It happens. Although the movie we're gonna discuss is also full of beautiful people.
I guess so.
Yeah.
The less furball-looking Olsen child.
Yeah.
Yes, we're talking about Civil War
Captain America Civil War.
or Avengers Light.
Basically, yeah, in a lot of ways.
In some ways, but it's still very much a Captain America movie.
Yeah. So let's.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It was fucking awesome.
It was pretty great.
Yeah, I think we
The
can
best
all agree.
Captain America film to date. And top 2 MCU film.
I'm gonna put put it
This
pretty
is-
high up. Yeah.
I put it pretty high up. This is where Eve and I, and probably Jamie maybe, disagree in that.
The order.
Yeah, the order. Because I know you like Guardians.
We should
best.
talk about the movie first, and then we
Yeah.
get into.
I will say that I mean, as always, huge spoilers in this, but also just stand up. You know, you have to talk about the standout things, which are Spider-Man basically being the best Spider-Man that has ever been put on screen.
Without
That has been
question.
put on screen so far.
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. Listen, I don't hate Tobey Maguire in the first
I
two
don't
Spider-Man
I don't
films.
either, and I did not hate Andrea Garfield.
No,
either.
he was pretty good.
Yeah.
You know,
That I'm not saying that to badmouth either of those versions of Spider-Man, but I will say it's kind of funny, and you know it's been kind of done to death by now. But the fact that they cast a teenager to play a teenager,
yeah. What
and Marvel got a hold of
What an idea.
their own character for like part of a movie and just nailed it. This is the
pay attention, Sony.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
This is the most Spider-Man that he has been, because if for no other reasons, like in the other films you have him Spider-Man kind of cracks jokes. As soon as he has the costume on, he is just perpetually Spider-Man. Like in he won't shut up. Like
Yeah.
it's
And we're talking about, a character that tops has maybe 15 to 18 minutes in the film.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
he definitely owns every one of
He
those
is one of
minutes.
two scene stealers in this film, along with Black Panther.
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
that. Black Panther's another one. I'm really looking forward to his standalone
Next to
film.
Blade is pretty much like my top black heroes, and he looks like a boss. in this
I am
film.
really glad that it turned out so, and I'm sure there's no way this isn't intentional. It's just like I think as soon as they made the decision to put Black Panther in this movie, they were like, we have to more than maybe, it's weird to say this, but more than even like the main characters, the side characters are like, so you're gonna have a Black Panther movie, which means I can almost imagine the people at Marvel going, we cannot fuck this up.
No,
We need to
no.
knock this out of the park, and Marvel is going to be doing a Spider-Man movie now.
Yeah.
That apparently,
Homecoming.
yeah. And now was another thing, was just like, if we mess this up, that'll get tanked too. And it's just so, like, they so nailed both of those characters, and I'm so, because Black Panther is more so than any of the other, more so than, and I'm looking forward to Luke Cage too, but even more so than Luke Cage, you have there's so much about Black Panther as a character.
A character who could match minds with Tony Stark and technology, combat skills with Captain America, and he's a fucking ruler of a nation. Should I put this closer to my mouth?
Well, yeah, I originally turned it down because you were super loud, and then you put the mic way down.
Oh.
It's okay. It's funny because every time I record with you, I always end up having to turn you down ever so slightly.
I'm a
It's-
freaking second base. How
Yeah,
do I
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. You're fine. No, you're fine now.
Are you trying to say I'm too loud?
No,
fucking
you
racist,
know
man.
what it is.
Fucking racist. We're talking about Black Panther. We're talking about Black Panther, and this is what you say? Please.
I mean, we all know that I have my issues here.
And I've kind of pre-drank a bit, so my
Yeah. We all did. And this has kind of become the precursor to this. But the fact that he's both he's super powered, but he also has the suit and the tech. He's basically the best of all of the other. Yeah, the best of Iron Man
Yeah,
and the best of
Batman.
Captain America. And
But he's not flawless. He they definitely portrayed um, Black Panther as someone who is totally out of left field in terms of his own selfish agenda.
Yeah.
You know,
In this
is
movie.
In this movie, you know, like if you put two and two together, if you compare him with the motivations and the agendas of the rest of the characters, he is awesome by all means. But if you look at his agenda, it's totally he's in his own little
I
bubble.
mean, when someone caps your daddy, what do you
Absolutely.
think you're gonna do
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah,
But he also gets that moment at the end when he finds out the truth, and he chooses not to
right.
take vengeance because he sees what has happened to these other characters. The characters that are supposed. That's what I thought was so great about that. Was it
Yeah.
as like the characters who were supposed to be the paragons of everything are now trying to kill each
Yeah,
other.
and this is what Marvel does so well is that they develop their characters.
Not the villains.
Yeah, not the villains.
which we will get to. There's some
Yeah.
stuff in there that
But I mean, at this point, this being a Captain America movie and all, I mean, at this point, there's been so many films now leading up to this. We've gotten to know both Cap and Tony Stark quite well. You know where they stand on things, what their vulnerabilities are. You know, Tony Stark is on his end. He's experienced things. He has a lot of things on his conscience. So it's easy to see where he was going to stand in this whole
And including
dilemma.
impending, breakup with Pepper.
Yeah.
It was not clear, but yeah,
They're
so
going.
they're going
through their
well,
phase.
there's a
right
couple
now.
there's a couple things that kind of get explained away.
Mm.
Although even that, like the justification for Pepper not being there, is interesting. And it kind of works because the way he explains it, it's just like, oh, we're kind of on a break, and it's
Yeah.
like because at the end of Iron Man 3, essentially, like
Exactly.
explains Iron Man 3. It's just like I destroyed all the suits, and then Age of Ultron, basically Avengers 2 happened, and he had to go back to
well,
it.
yeah, and it shows Tony Stark's, lasting guilt for what happened in Ultron.
Yeah.
And his role in it all, plus other mistakes that are he's partly or completely to blame in other films.
Yeah.
And at the same time with Cap, I mean, you kind of see also where he's coming from, and his stance against surveillance and government intervention. So it was interesting to see where it all led to and where everything was colliding.
Right.
So
It's tough when bromance just falls apart, man.
yeah.
It hurt me. That's never gonna be us.
So so just to also great little bits. Just Paul Rudd is so great, like underrated, and
He was not funny in this film. The other characters, the
No, he had-
surprising ones with Winter Soldier and Falcon.
yeah.
In the
car,
car.
in
In
the-
the car.
That was just
that was brilliant.
It's just amazing how they could just like inject these moments of humor where you
Well,
least expect.
What I liked about that scene, well, there's the part that I like about that scene, and the part that I don't like about that scene is basically him getting together with Sharon Carter. The problem with that is that relationship, even though they set it up in Winter Soldier, that it kind of started, doesn't. It comes across as a little bit forced and artificial in this film. Just like them finally getting together. That being said, the moment that they have in the car where they both kind of just nod at him is great.
The guys in the nod in agreement.
Yeah.
Because
Game recognized
it's
game.
but it's both of them being his best friend from different time periods, just acknowledging it's like That's our
Yeah,
boy.
yeah.
Like,
You go get that. You go
uh,
get that. But yeah, that was beautiful. But what about the other actors? The actors who actually took more screen time, like Scarlet Witch.
I thought she was very good in this film.
Yeah,
She
she
was
had
pretty
more of a
good.
prominent
She got
role
more
versus
screen
Yeah.
time, but
Age of
she,
Ultron.
although
yeah.
again, that accent is kind of terrible.
I
But
I did not
but
pay
it-
attention to that.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
heard worse.
Yeah, of course.
The Batman voice.
yeah.
Yeah. Trust me, this is passable.
And
you
then
know.
you also get these weird because this is from the comics, and I'll get to it being a good movie in its own right, but a bad adaptation of a story. Uh,
It was an okay adaptation considering you don't have the breadth of characters that were featured in the actual story.
but you also don't have really. I mean, you have some of the central themes. But what it is they took the core moments from the Civil War story in the comics, and then basically just like, jettisoned all the details in a lot of ways. Like they changed the name of it was called the Sokovia Accords instead of the Registration Act because you can't use the
Because
Registration
you
Act
can't.
because
X-Men.
that's an X-Men thing. I mean, I understand. Like, it's not. It's weird that they. What's strange is I've heard this from a couple of nerds who were talking about it. Is that it's not an it's they almost shouldn't have called it Civil War because that's not what it is.
But it sounds cooler.
Yeah, of course.
So what's a more appropriate name?
I don't know. Also, just as a nerd, the moment that Ant-Man does the Giant Man thing, I was just like,
He tried it in the lab, so he doesn't know. But the thing with Paul Rudd is that as soon as he comes out of that van, he gushes. You know, when he meets Cap and some of the other characters, and he's basically representing the fans.
yeah,
Like Agent Coulson, as he gushes over Captain America,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
he
I
has
guess
a
so.
huge man crush.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Yeah,
He
he
has
had the
a
trading
huge man-
cards
yeah,
and all that.
exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he pretty much represents the fans. So
Well, what I appreciated about both Spider-Man and or Peter Parker and uh, Scott Lang is they are both people who are not they're not Avengers yet. And they're both coming into it as like outsiders, and they're both coming into it as like Spider-Man more on like the I'm so excited to be here. Like even when he's fighting like Winter Soldier and he grabs his arm, he's like, "You have a metal
You
arm?
have a metal
That's
arm?"
so cool."
it's so Spidey though.
Yeah, no.
I mean, like that's just ripped out of the pages. The dialogue.
But Scott Lang, the whole thing with him is that he feels like, and other characters keep making him feel like he doesn't actually belong there. Like even though we know he's gonna be an Avenger, it's just the whole thing is just like, how did I get okay?
He's the unlikely one. The one
Yeah.
you least expect.
And of course
out of
the
roster.
what's it? My mentor told me to never trust a Stark. Who are you again? Come on, man. Yeah. It's just there's so many little things that made me so like as a nerd, but even just as a movie, like just so happy.
Yeah.
In this movie, like I really appreciated how they snuck in Red Wing
Yes. Yeah.
as a thing. Like it's not a bird, but it's a bird.
It
it's
made
the
sense in this world.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's what I like. Even though it's not a great adaptation of like Civil War, it's Civil War in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where you have to change those things because the history is different.
You have to, and at the same time, it's the Russo brothers, and when they direct, at least with
What are their backgrounds? I've never heard of them.
Well, with the Winter Soldier, their style, their directing style is that there's going to be a sense of, it's going to be a little more grounded, as compared to other Marvel films.
Okay.
where it's going to feel, similar to or comparable to uh, um, a Bourne movie, or
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
you're dealing with the world of Captain America.
yeah. So with
You're
this,
not dealing with aliens
no,
or gods.
no. So similar to Winter Soldier, you had real world issues being represented here. So, and you have characters who were taking sides in uh, what is being adapted into this movie straight out of the headlines, as far as you know, foreign policy mishaps and um, surveillance and things we see and hear on the news every day.
How
It's
often do you apply your strength or military might in other countries,
exactly.
despite what you may think is the right thing to do? You know, do you overstep on other people's sovereign, rights?
Yeah, and that's one of the things I really enjoyed from Winter Soldier, and how that we saw that we were able to see that new side of a Marvel movie, where you can see the versatility there. You can go into a fantasy world like a Thor movie, and it's awesome, and most of the time, and then you can get a Captain
Man under
America
two
movie.
Thor films. Real man under two Thor films.
Yeah, they were mad. And then you say that, but then in the middle of that, you throw the Vision, who's kind of this, which actually there's some genuine
Future purple dildo for Maximoff.
yeah, but there's just some there's some little things with the Vision that I appreciate with him interacting with her, where it's just like him kind of struggling to I don't know how you guys felt. I love the sweater. I love that
Yes.
his attempt at kind of a
human.
normalcy is that he has this unfortunate sweater.
Really stiff,
Yeah.
bougie attire to match his accent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you get the moment when he phases into Giant Man. And it's like, some dude just went in me. Some dude just went in me. Yeah. And there's a lot. I mean, for a movie that's pretty heavy, there's a lot. And this is the thing. I mean, you could almost say this isn't fair, but the Russo brothers actually came out and said this. It's not a coincidence that this came out at around the same time that Batman v Superman, and there's no way you can not compare it.
There's no way.
Because in all the ways that Batman v Superman was not fun, this movie, despite having a lot of serious moments, was still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. The early parts, the first 30 minutes, was kind of boring.
Yeah,
It
but
was
it depends
very
on the way.
slow, similar to some aspects of Batman v Superman.
The first few scenes? I mean, they're in South Africa.
Yeah,
that's the whole
that was
incident
cool,
that
but
sets everything up.
But
And that was
there was some lulls in between, where they're talking about, the Sokovia Accords.
right.
Well, I mean,
that was
you need the exposition.
You need that.
but that
You
was
need that.
really long. That
Okay.
was really long, and this is a long ass film, like 2.5 hours, or close
So
to that.
it's long in
Yeah.
For the way, as far as Marvel films.
Similar to Batman v Superman, the only difference is that there was an actual build up to the conflict.
Yeah,
You
and
could
it-
Yeah.
see the tension between these characters, and with Batman v Superman, you could definitely see this is artificial.
Yeah.
No no
So-
charisma, no nothing
So
between these.
let's talk about, because
beings.
we addressed this, the villain.
Marissa Tomei.
Well, I was gonna bring that up. How do we feel about I love me some Marissa Tomei as well, but how do we feel about Hot Aunt May?
Yeah. I mean,
Which, if he's
I was
I was
really that's when my interest really peaked about
the George Costanza in me.
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
There-
Ooh, she's in this.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
people who are kind of upset about it. It was just like, why did they have to have a hot Aunt May? And then there were other people. Well, but it was like, because in the comics she's old, and then someone pointed out, it was just like, no, think about it. Peter is a teenager.
Right. She would have to be younger.
His aunt is, I believe, is his mom's sister. Why would she be like 30, 40 years
Yeah, it makes sense.
older than his mom?
Mm-hmm.
Unless his mom had him when she was in her 40s or something. Like, there's no reason why his aunt would be this
No.
ancient woman unless she's his great aunt or something. So it's just like, yeah, of course, his aunt, and people forget. It's like, no, Marissa Tomei is 52.
Don't
Like,
matter.
And she's fine.
Don't matter.
Yeah.
Fine wine.
Don't matter.
That being said, the villains, aside from the characters themselves, which I think was the kind of the plot, is like the character.
Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Again.
That kind of made me a little upset because Baron Zemo is actually like, ridiculous costume in the comics aside, is actually a halfway decent villain, and he's just a device to move the plot along in this.
Yeah, pretty much.
And there's this whole weird like Soviet like super soldier side plot, which they even go back and show like a flashback to, where they show all of these like Soviet super soldiers, and then they do nothing with them.
Yeah.
It's like it was like, what are you? Why even? It's like it's just
It's almost like it got cut out.
it's a MacGuffin. It's what you
Yeah.
call a MacGuffin. It's like it's just a reason to have the Winter Soldier and Cap go to that base, and it's just like it's weird. It was just like you set this up, and yet I hope there's something there in a later movie, because otherwise it seems like, because the movie is so long, it seems like about 15 minutes of the movie that you could have done something else to get
Or cut that
to
out.
get Steve Rogers and Tony Stark in that position where Tony finds out that a Winter Soldier killed his parents, and that sets him off. Sidebar: the whole artificial like simulation where with young Robert Downey
Yeah.
Jr. was really weird.
Yeah.
I
That was
I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, yeah.
It was cool, and then the longer it went on, I'm like, this is really weird.
I mean, it was better executed than Tron with
Or
Russell.
X-Men 3.
I choose not to remember that film.
Choose not to acknowledge it. That's a thing. Yeah.
Or remember.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, I mean, overall, this film hit all the right marks. Great cameos by Spider-Man. Was really happy about that, and Black Panther. And just like the end credits, just seeing the fucking Panther
Yeah.
outside that lab. Like,
Eve lost his
yeah,
mind at
it's
that
like,
point.
Yeah, they want to start something with me. Oh, now I'm gonna have to start reading Black Panther.
I really want to read the new one. I've heard really good things about the new one.
The moment it
Yeah.
goes on trade, I'm gonna
Yeah.
pick that up.
And as some people do, I'm always against movies that overuse CG when they could have gone to like practical effects or just more stunt doubles. But what impresses me about this, and I just learned this week, is that the entire airport scene is almost completely CG. Uh, the airport itself is in fact the Leipzig airport in Germany,
Right.
but they basically photographed that entire airport in 360 and filmed the action in Atlanta on green screen, and then just
Huh.
applied the 360 photography on it. It's pretty impressive. So basically, it's very CG is good when you just don't notice that it's there.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, there's parts where I definitely notice. I mean, there's certain fight sequences. There's just what your brain does when you see a human body do a thing that a human body.
Like run faster than a car.
Well, that wasn't that bad. It was.
That
There's
was
a couple
little
like
weird.
yeah. There's that, and there's a couple like as cool as they were, like the little like Cap and Black Panther like basically like video game super move type stuff.
Yeah.
It's like you definitely notice it. It's like, okay, that's CG. That's definitely
Yeah.
CG. It's not bad CG. It's just like there's something like no matter how good CGI gets, your brain still knows.
Yeah, that this is not natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that we know why Thor isn't in it. We know why
Hulk.
the Hulk isn't in it. But people still were like, okay, why wasn't.
Well, because then you
Because
have
this
to
isn't a fucking Avengers
right.
film.
Then you
Yeah,
have to call
yeah.
it Avengers, basically.
Yeah.
And it's and that's one of my questions going in. Like, is this going to feel like an Avengers, like Avengers 2.5,
Yeah.
or is it going to be Captain America movie? And yeah, it's definitely
It was a Cap movie, but a lot of people have. You guys, we might have had this discussion that. I mean, I like First Avenger. I like it.
didn't.
It's serviceable, but you discover that Cap by himself, without like supporting characters, and this had a lot of supporting characters, and maybe that has something to do with Chris Evans. Maybe Chris Evans is not that, and I love me some Chris Evans, as we know. Charlie made the joke in the scene where there's that scene where he's like pulling the helicopter in is pure.
Flexing biceps.
It's pure.
Getting swole.
But what's really funny about that is what I honestly, and I think I had a discussion on an episode of this podcast with Justin about this. That as much as people criticize how kind of Black Widow is portrayed, there is a surprising amount of man cheesecake in these movies, and it's obvious man cheesecake. Like it's like in this, there was no reason for the. It's so that shot is so.
But it's
deliberate.
comic booky.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
It's
It's
very
so-
comic booky.
Well, even that to me, was
Just
kind of great.
establishing his
Was kind of
strength and his
great.
might.
Yeah, it was kind of great. It's like you have Chris Evans. You know there's gonna be women going to see this. You know that guys are showing up with their girlfriends. It's like yeah, just give.
Go flex those arms.
But it's so like that shot where it's just like the flex on like both is so deliberate that it's like
That was for the ladies.
the worst one. Even
And
though the scene also is pretty terrible because it's just like we need to set up Thor Ragnarok. Is Chris Evans shirtless in the pool in Age of Ultron? It's like there's no reason for that to be there, except to kind of set up Thor Ragnarok, and because we have Chris Evans shirtless and wet.
Talking about setting up future films. What's happening with Scarlet Witch? She's become extremely powerful now that she just pwned Vision with no problem at all.
Yeah.
What are they going to be planning on with her with future films? I've heard or read House of M, but they can't do something like that.
They can't do House of M unless Marvel can get the X-Men characters back, which I don't think Fox is ever going to let go of them. Although there is a rumor, and the Russo brothers were also pushing for this, is that if they get any character, they're going to push for Wolverine. Not all of the X-Men, but just Wolverine. And the Russo brothers were like really pushing for it. When they were asked about it, they were like, if you could get one, they were like, Wolverine, we want Wolverine.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's the most bankable character.
Yeah.
He could stay dead. Just my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. I think with her character, there's something. It's one of those things. Just like this needs to somehow pay off in Infinity War. Yeah. Which, by the way, I mean it hasn't been confirmed, but Cap's totally gonna die in Infinity War. Like
That's what people said about Civil War, though.
yeah, but no, people said about it in Civil War because it's what happened in the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another thing. It's just like the all the stuff that led up to him dying.
But then again, people said the same thing about Tony Stark. Well, I've talked to people and they were like, yeah, Tony Stark is definitely going to die in Civil War.
But there are rumors that Robert Downey Jr. is interested in coming back.
And I totally
it's just the thing
believe
is
that.
he just
Yeah,
doesn't have a contract yet.
Yeah.
Right.
That gives him
I,
more money.
I mean, people. He's he he's one of the main selling points of these
He is
movies.
the only selling point.
Yeah.
I
So
I can't imagine an Avengers without Robert Downey Jr. in
Yeah,
this.
yeah. That's. I mean, yeah.
so I think he's gonna stick it out to the very end. And then beyond Infinity War, then we'll have to see what happens. But
I did appreciate it. I mean, uh Black Widow definitely got, as far as like fight sequences, got some more cool moments, more so than she can get in an Avenger. It's also one of the advantages of not having Thor and the Hulk in it,
Yeah.
is you get to have characters like Black Widow have better moments. Falcon has some great
oh yeah,
Yeah.
moments, like just fight sequence and character wise. In this, you can showcase those characters more.
And this is a movie for like the B level
Yeah.
roster of
Although,
people
and
on the Avengers to stand out.
I love Jeremy Renner, but I think it was, and I will say this forever. He is the character who has, as much as what they did in Age of Ultron, which was cute and cool, but also a terrible idea when you think of who Clint Barton is in the comics, is he got so shortchanged as a character. He's even in this movie, he's like, he has moments, but it's just like you are getting,
and he had pretty bad lines.
yeah.
Like, we're still friends, right?
The thing of it is, like, and I could, you can look at it, and my biggest regret about them doing what they did in Age of Ultron, and I've said this a million times, is now you will never have. I would have loved to have seen like a Netflix Hawkeye miniseries, where you basically, the Hawkeye series that Matt Fraction and David Aja did was basically what Hawkeye does when he's not in the Avengers. And it's basically emphasizes that more than anyone, more than even Scott Lang, because Scott Lang has the Ant-Man suit and all of, like, the Ant-Man powers. He is he's the ordinary guy who's way out of his depth. And you see that more, like, when you see him by himself. And they, even in this movie again, he just gets shortchanged. It's like, he's such a good character, and you're not letting him be a good character.
Sorry, he just shoots bows and arrows. Big whoop.
But that's the
Big whoop. I'm sorry.
and you have the one moment of Age of Ultron where he's talking to Scarlet Witch, and that was the one time where it's like, no, that's who Hawkeye is. This is the job that I do. I kind of got thrown into this. I'm just a dude with a bow and arrow. I don't know what the hell, why the hell I keep doing this. And he has the trick arrows and everything in this too, and those are cool. But there's so much stuff from the comics that they basically just threw away. Like his whole background in the comics, like how he becomes Hawkeye, is actually kind of, it's silly, but it's great. And now what they've done with him in the MCU, you could never have him be that character.
He was never meant to be that character. He's just the other guy that is meant to showcase how powerful Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor are. He's not really meant to, steal scenes or many scenes.
Yeah, I think Marvel's already decided which characters they're gonna develop, which ones are gonna get their own films, and then you're gonna have a handful of characters who are just, they're not filler necessarily, but they're part of the team, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it'd be nice to see if he can get at least some more character development.
See,
and Marvel's actually very good at that.
Yeah,
much more than
but
DC.
they've set him up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that all of the stuff that they've established for him are all, like, him having a family was okay in Age of Ultron, but if you actually know anything about Hawkeye as a character, it's just like, okay, but that means that you just jettisoned kind of all of the other stuff, or
I
or that
didn't
you
really
could
care
like,
about very much about the barn scene.
Yeah.
In Age of Ultron, and from what I understand, that's something that that who directed. I'm drawing a blank.
Joss Whedon?
Joss Whedon. Thank you. Had to negotiate that fiercely to keep that in the film.
Yeah.
Because Disney wanted to cut that and put something else in its place, and they had to just settle on. They settled on one scene, which I'm not entirely clear on, that ended up in the film, as long as the barn scene remained in the film.
It was a Thor scene. It's the Thor scene.
Yes,
It's a Thor
yes,
scene. That's what you're talking about.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Yes, the Thor scene. That's something that the studio was pushing to keep in the film, and it's probably in a lead up to Ragnarok.
It is.
That's why they were pushing for that, and Joss Whedon didn't want it, but he wanted the barn scene, so they had to compromise. So
Yeah.
that's the backstory on that.
I have to, getting off the topic of Civil War, just like Clint Barton, you're now never gonna see his brother.
No one cares about his brother.
His brother is such a great.
No one cares.
He has such a. It pisses me off because
No one cares.
It's because he's, and it's unfortunate. The reason also it's unfortunate is now that the New York side of Marvel Studios, which is the side that produces the Netflix films, and the West Coast side, which is the side that produces the studio, the theater movies, they don't get along. So you could have had a Hawkeye Netflix miniseries.
You want that.
I still want that.
But
That
you're
would be
the only one who
That
does
would be
that.
cool. No, that
because
would be pretty
we already
cool.
have Hawkeye. It's called Arrow.
No.
It's
The-
called Arrow.
No. The reason and Hawkeye would have been a great character because he would have fit right into what they're already doing in the Netflix series. He's not a defender, but he is in the miniseries. He's basically becomes like the interim superintendent of a building in Bed-Stuy, and he gets in a lot of trouble. It's very much along the lines of all the other stuff they've been doing in the Netflix series, and he would have fit right in there.
That just sounds like a short miniseries. I don't.
No, that's what I mean. No, not an ongoing.
Okay.
It would be a miniseries, and you could be like, you have Hawkeye and the Avengers. You have this miniseries. It's basically exactly what the story is. This is what Hawkeye does when he's not with the Avengers, and then you have something in that miniseries, like at the end of that miniseries, that ties into whatever the next movie
Jamie,
is.
You're the only one who cares
upsets me.
about Hawkeye when he's not part of the Avengers. 'Cause-
This segment is brought to you by Jamie
Yeah.
Fanfiction.
It's like I want to bang the mic out there. Like,
Whose
God
dicks?
damn it.
Whose dicks at Disney do you need to suck to make sure this happens? I'm sorry, dude. It's not gonna happen.
It's okay.
It's not gonna happen.
I will say that now that we've seen what Marvel does with Spider-Man, when they have their own characters, I just get the Disney lawyers on getting the X-Men back, because it's just
well. Let's
never-
be clear.
it's never gonna be right.
With the Amazing Spider-Man, they got Spider-Man okay.
Okay,
The
yeah.
person, the hero. They just didn't get everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it was poor
I
filmmaking.
mean,
It was
Garfield
very-
was good casting.
He's a great actor.
Emma Stone was a great Gwen Stacy.
You want to hear something that's gonna kind of well, no, you guys wouldn't be as excited about this because I don't think you saw any of the movies that she was in. We almost had, and this was another thing of studio interference. We almost had a, oh God, what is her name? Who's in all of the unfortunate teenage movie, the Divergent
I'm too
series,
old. I have no. Yeah.
which
well,
I have.
yeah.
Never
Shailene
seen it.
Shailene Woodley
Yeah.
was gonna be MJ, and I actually am of the opinion that she would have made. They actually had. They were going to shoot scenes, and they all got cut. Like they had. Like if you look this up, you can find pictures of her on set
Mm.
as Mary Jane, and she was supposed to be in Amazing Spider-Man 2. And if you read about what happened with that, there's a reason why that movie is. Parts of that movie are great, and then a lot of that movie is a mess. There's too many hands. There's too many hands.
Yeah, too many chiefs, and that's what you get. You get a movie by committee.
Yeah.
Basically. So you have very good talent, very good actors. Andrew Garfield. You have who plays Aunt May.
She was just collecting a paycheck, though. She actually. There's an interesting story behind it. Sally Field. There's a great story behind that where there was a producer on Amazing Spider-Man 2 who was actually Sally Field has known for decades.
Okay.
And that producer was actually during the making of Spider-Man had cancer and slipped into like post Amazing Spider-Man 2 actually died after that movie was made, and the only reason why Sally Field is in that is as a favor to this person.
Huh.
Is this producer, this person who was working on Amazing Spider-Man 2 was like, hey, because they go back decades, was just like, hey, can you be in this movie? And Sally Field went, this might be the last time that I get to work with this person. I'm gonna be in this movie.
Okay.
And it was on a Nerdist podcast where they interviewed Sally Field, and she basically they mentioned that, and she was just like, yeah, I didn't really have any input into who that character was. I didn't really. She basically said I didn't really care. The only reason I was in that movie is because I was doing a favor, and I wanted to work with this person who I'd known for decades, and I probably would never be able to work with her again.
Right.
Because she's gonna die.
Yeah.
So it's a really sad story, but it also is just yeah, there's a reason why she's good in that because she's a fantastic actress, but yeah, she was not in it into it at all.
But it's a case when bad movies happen to good actors.
Yeah.
You have Paul Giamatti.
So terrible.
Well, his career has been going
Going weird, going really
in a
weird.
downward trajectory since Sideways.
Trajectory is just bad decisions.
It's weird. He's been in some really good stuff and some really terrible
has,
stuff.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's really strange.
But
Trying to pay that mortgage, I guess.
But he's a good actor. I give him
Yes.
credit. It's just unfortunate that he was just tacked into the last 5 minutes of a movie, and it was pretty awful.
So just to get back on topic, I thought that they were releasing Black Panther next year. Now I heard it's 2018.
What are we talking about?
Black Panther. I thought it was gonna come out next year. Apparently, it's not coming out till
No.
2018.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. I'm super excited about
Yeah,
that.
so am I.
And I'm super excited about Spider-Man: Homecoming. Although I'm weird, I'm like, how are they gonna? So apparently Sony is still gonna do other ones.
Yeah, they're just gonna borrow the world that Disney creates for them.
Huh.
So they're gonna create their own additional scripts, but it'll be in the same universe, and setting up the characters and a casting that hopefully Disney will recommend.
Decision making, the directorial decision making, and the writing. Is it coming from Sony or is it coming from
Probably the Sony ones will be Sony scripts.
Oh, that makes me a little more nervous.
But they at least they would be able to pillage some ideas from the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I would prefer it to be just full on Marvel, or at least the creative decisions.
This
being
is a
made
good
by
alternative to to nothing at all. To
guess.
Sony fucking continuing to fuck up a franchise.
Also,
again.
someone was pointing out about Civil War. I forget who it was who was talking about this, but what was kind of great also, I mean, if you want to get into racial politics and stuff in films, you have 3 major characters, black male characters, and they are all distinct and very different from each other. And none of them are. You could argue. Some people could argue that
3 who?
That 3 blacks. You have War Machine.
Right.
You have
Oh,
Falcon.
Yeah.
And you
now
have
Black Panther.
Black Panther, and they're all very distinct from each
distinct.
other. They're all
Absolutely.
very different from each other.
Yeah.
Uh,
I was nervous though because I came into this movie and I was nervous that Rhodey's gonna was gonna get killed off because
yeah,
that's kind of what I gathered from the trailers.
yeah,
That when you see that scene where Tony Stark is just mad as hell with Rhodey's in his arms, I was relieved that he wasn't killed off. It'll be interesting to see how he fully recovers from his injuries.
I've just got an idea.
Oh
Is
boy.
it possible that they could kill off, sorry about this, Hawkeye and have Doctor Strange come
He-
into the Avengers roster?
well, no. Here's what I've.
Because we already have one
here's-
super
here's-
spy in.
No. Here's what I've. Now that you present that, here's what I honestly think they're gonna do, which is unfortunate. They're not gonna. They can't, and they shouldn't. Doctor Strange, from what I understand, is going to be involved in Infinity War,
That's what. Yeah.
but
that's-
he's not going to be involved as an Avenger. He's going to be involved as Doctor Strange because he is a distinct, very different. I mean, he kind of ties into the Thor universe a little bit, but he's not an Avenger. He is a different. He's a solo. He's more than any of the other ones. He is a solo character. He is not a
But I could have
team.
sworn his character was part of the new Avengers in a comic book series.
No. He's always been his own. He's a consultant in the same way that they go and they talk to Reed Richards a lot.
Oh, okay.
He's also, he's always been like his own weird little, almost literally is, not even almost literally in a couple of comic books in his own universe, because he kind of plays with that idea. And yeah, you're right. They probably are gonna kill off Hawkeye, because who is the character it's like Coulson in Avengers. Is like, who is the character?
Bingo.
Who is the character who has the most emotional impact for the characters and yet is also the most disposable?
Right.
Which is unfortunate, but it's true. It's interesting because it brings me back to the Hawkeye miniseries. It wasn't even miniseries; it was like part of the regular series. That's literally what one of the other members, I think it's either Spider-Woman or one of the other Avengers, the female Avengers, says about Clint Barton is like, yeah, if you're gonna kill an Avenger and make it like a public thing, who's the first person you go after? You don't go after the God. You don't go after the Hulk. You don't go after Captain America. Who do you hunt down and kill? The regular guy. Yeah. You kill the regular guy because he's the regular guy.
Yet another reason.
The one out
Yet
in his
another
league.
reason why they
Oh
couldn't.
God, I
cast-
think you're right. That and it's so in pattern with like Joss is you pick the.
But he's not coming back.
He isn't, but that's so oh shit. Hawkeye's totally gonna fucking die. Ah!
Sorry about that, dude.
Spoiler alert.
Damn it.
Bye to that potential Netflix
What?
miniseries.
Well, no, that was never gonna happen. As much as I wanted that to happen, but actually, that makes me think because the original rumor was the way Infinity War it was gonna work was that Cap dies, and for a little while, Bucky takes over the Captain America mantle because the actor like has alluded to as much that might be what happens. But now that I think about it, the totally the way they could get around that and still have the same emotional punch is you kill the regular guy during Infinity War. God damn it! I think Hawkeye. I think you might be right. I think I was gonna say, what are we?
Jeremy Renner is a great actor.
When
I just don't like
what are we
Hawkeye.
Yeah. What are we predicting for future films? It's like, oh fuck, Hawkeye's gonna die.
Yeah, he's the one who's expendable.
I do want to see. I actually really want to see Captain America: Civil War again because
So do I.
more than the other ones because there's stuff in there that I think number one I missed, and number two it's just like we're discussing it now, but I feel like more in depth. I was just like I need to see it.
Oh, so rankings.
Yeah.
I
Let's see because we're almost at an hour
I
now.
still have just Guardians just has a great ensemble cast, a great mix of space opera plus humor. Yeah, this was great, but to me, it's Guardians. Then it's a
Let's do
tie
top
for
five.
s-
Top five.
tie for s- well, tie for second place would be Iron Man, the original one,
Okay.
with Civil War, and I would have to say Avengers, and then shit, Hulk, the Incredible Hulk.
Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, really? Incredible
liked-
Hulk.
I liked it.
That's a surprise.
I enjoyed that film. I enjoyed that
It's
film.
good.
Are
The
we?
fight
Are we?
scene between
are
It's
him
we
not
and
my
just,
top
Abomination.
5, but it's
We're
good.
just doing it. We're just
It's
doing
okay.
MCU. We're not including the X-Men films.
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
no,
okay,
no,
okay.
no.
MCU.
Okay. Because
X-
otherwise, I would include this movie.
None of the X-Men films
Deadpool.
would hit any of my top 5 anyway. I'm just that's another conversation. But
First Class.
First Class was good. It's not my top
No, it was
as compared to Marvel.
So
It's
so wait.
more than
So
good.
so do MCU then.
Then to me, number 1 would probably be Winter Soldier.
Really?
Okay.
And
Okay.
this in Civil War is I don't know. I would need to see it again, but it's up there. It's tied with Winter Soldier. And I'm not even a Captain America fan by any means, but I just love the filmmaking in these films. Iron Man 1 absolutely still top 5, and Avengers 1. Avengers 1 was very good. And yeah, Guardians was good. Guardians is as
So
to
Guardians
me,
would be like
to
your
me,
5 then.
Guardians is a tie with Avengers 1 for me.
I would say I would also put Guardians up. I don't think. I mean, like I have to see this again. I don't know that Guardians for me is a better movie. But I definitely enjoyed it more. So that's why Guardians is 1. I would put this movie as Captain America: Civil War as 2 right now. Right after that, I would put as my third the first Avengers film. But I think a lot of that has to do with even me were discussing this on the train. A lot of that has to do with that. It's just that first time that you're seeing all of those heroes on screen.
Yeah.
Where am I? 3. Cap, Winter Soldier, I would put at 4. And first Iron Man, I put at 5. I honestly don't think that movie is as good.
Well, here's the thing. I find it surprising that I thought that the Iron Man franchise would be the lead franchise in the MCU.
Right.
Me too.
It kind of got
It went downhill.
It downhill after the
completely
first
downhill,
one.
Yeah.
I was surprised that I'm more excited about the Captain American franchise versus the Iron Man.
It's
one.
weird. The Cap movies have kind of been going in the reverse order, where it
Exactly,
started
yeah.
as just. I mean, I know
It's-
you don't like First Avenger, but that movie's okay.
It's okay, right?
Yeah.
And it went. The Captain America franchise kept getting better and better as it went
Yeah.
along. Even this one, I mean, this one is just.
Yeah, this was amazing.
This was unbelievable.
Although I will say, even though it was a shitty movie, I still kind of enjoy Iron Man 3. There are parts of that movie that are
It's
entertaining.
it's just better than Iron Man 2. That's all I could say.
That's true. Yeah.
It's just better than Iron Man 2.
I love Shane. I love Shane West, but he was completely the wrong choice for that film. I really want to see the good guys, but he's.
I will still say that the villain in Iron Man 3 is basically the same villain as the Incredibles. If you kind of compare, it's basically the same.
All right.
The same agenda. But yeah, I didn't really care for Iron Man 3 and the excessive product placement, especially
Yeah.
toward the end.
Yeah.
And the weird buddy friendship he had with the kid. It lasted too long.
It was a very strange.
It
There's a
was
lot of really odd
It was an
decisions in that movie.
It
Yeah.
was like at times it was a buddy comedy, but then it It was weird. I didn't.
It's an odd movie.
That's kind of why I like it, though. It's just like there's so much stuff that just is very straight, and in that kind of like, not like Amazing Spider-Man 2 and a couple of those other movies. It was like what it wasn't like any of the elements were particularly horrible for me. It's just a lot of what the hell? Why is this here? Like,
Especially because I really like the Tony Stark Iron Man character, and there's just so much you can do with his character over a course of a number of movies.
Jr. That's the whole point. And we watch it because of Robert Downey Jr.
Right. So I think he's just the character is deserving of a much richer storyline altogether.
I know I said that we were going to end, but it was an interesting topic that someone brought up. Is one of the interesting things about the difference between Cap and Iron Man is Cap comes from it's different. There's such representations of their time period in a way. Cap is very much the ethos of it's about everyone, kind of. Whereas Tony Stark is very much a me.
Oh yeah, he's
centered
very
character.
egocentric.
And there's something about like what Tony Stark kind of is a perfect representation of like where we are culturally, kind of like technologically, is that it's all about.
Well, yeah, and Tony Stark is the perfect
generation versus a soldier who's not about Captain America is a soldier. It's not about the individual.
No,
it's the
not.
collective. It's a group, the unit.
And that's what I really liked about this one is that it really drove the differences in the characters and how we've grown across all of these films to understand their motivations, who they are as characters. You know, Captain he's a soldier. He's selfless.
Yeah.
He's the definition of selfless, whereas Tony Stark is the representation of the ambitious, egocentric entrepreneur type, like the Elon Musks and the Steve Jobs of the world.
But what's funny about that is like Cap is other people have said this, but very simply is like Cap is us as we'd like is the myth of ourselves, America, as we'd like to see ourselves.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And Tony Stark is the selfish, very self-involved version of us that we feel guilty about. And that's totally what this movie is like. In our selfish moments, we do these terrible things by accident.
Hey, Cap is a matter of community. Stark is about industrialization.
So in
capitalism.
In the end, where do we fall on Team Cap or Team Iron Man?
The marketing point.
I mean,
or do we go with what I went?
I read the book, so I always was for Team Cap in terms of not for registration, not for supporting the government. It was just obvious. I mean, it was clear that they're setting Iron Man up as the villain, both in the comic books and somewhere to lesser extent this film. So you have to be Team Cap. Team Cap. You are Team Iron Man if you're a Robert Downey Jr. fan.
Yeah.
That's all.
Or if you Rich, you go ahead, and then I think we'll wrap up.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a tough call because I'm a fan of of just the characters themselves. I think they both have very valid points. But I guess if I have to choose a side, I'm gonna choose.
You don't have to choose a side. There are two other options, which are the ones that I went with.
I was just gonna say I'm with Ant-Man.
Yeah, Team Ant-Man. I am, as I had stated on Twitter, I am Team Wakanda, and Team Underoos. I'm especially Team Underoos. I'm Team Underoos, 'cause man, Spider-Man.
and the fact that he lives in. There's so much stuff that is from high school for me about that character.
I'm Team Marissa Tomei.
Yeah, I think we're all Team Marissa Tomei. I think that's the real lesson that we all learned from this movie, and that we all need to see it again.
That is true. That is true. To infiltrate this Captain America-centric film, Batman will so pwn Captain America. That's all I gotta say. Booyah!
I'm gonna let you have that one, and then I'm gonna yell about how wrong you are when we get off mic. It'll be fine.